When our family went bankrupt, Mom offered me to the loan shark so my sister could continue her studies. I became a side chick, living a life of leisure with a monthly allowance of 100,000. Meanwhile, my sister failed her SATs and toiled day and night, her meager wages still being skimmed, until we were reborn back to the day of bankruptcy. This time, my sister rushed to climb into the loan shark's bed first, sending me off to school. I lower my eyes with a cold smile. Did she really think being a side chick was some glamorous role? While shopping, a group of camera-wielding people surrounded me. We're doing a street interview. Could you tell us roughly how much your outfit costs today? I replied nonchalantly, the clothes aren't worth much, all under 6 figures combined. The expensive part is this bag. Just the pre-spend was 500,000. The crowd was stunned. Someone couldn't help but blur out, damn, that's years of my salary. The bespectacled leader asked cautiously, may I ask roughly how much you spend in a month? I've never really calculated. Counting on my fingers, I said, my boyfriend gives me a fixed monthly allowance of 100,000 in pocket money. For travel and shopping, I just swipe his Centurion card. Places like beauty salons have lifetime VIP memberships for me, so I really can't keep track of it all. Some girls couldn't help but cast envious glances, shooting resentful looks at their own boyfriends. The bespectacled man clicked his tongue before asking his final question. May I ask what you do for a living? I paused briefly before letting out a light laugh. With a boyfriend who pampers me like this, why would I need to work? I've been with my boyfriend since I was 18. Now at 30, my days are just about shopping. If I ever get tired of this life, maybe I'll consider working. The thought of him struggling to earn mere pennies while someone like me lived lavishly without lifting a finger. Some laughed at themselves, some smiled bitterly, and some simply broke down in tears. The interviewers practically fled in disarray. I watched their retreating figures coldly, scoffed, and turned to leave. Then came a sharp, mocking voice. Chloe Lee, you're feeling quite pleased with yourself now, aren't you? I turned my head to look at the speaker. She wore cheap office attire, her hair plastered to her face, both hands fully occupied carrying coffee cups. My dear sister Joyce Lee was glaring at me with eyes that seemed ready to spit fire. The corner of my mouth curled up. During the street interview earlier, she'd been hiding behind a tree like a sewer rat, eavesdropping on my every word. Every answer I'd given was enough to shatter her defenses. Chloe Lee, why aren't you speaking? Do you look down on me? Joyce Lee threw the coffee cups to the ground and rushed forward to viciously tug at my clothes. Everyone in this world has the right to look down on me, except you, Chloe Lee, because all your current wealth and status should have been mine. If you hadn't stolen Brother Zhou from me, he'd be doting on me right now. I wouldn't have to slave away every day under those snobbish bastards. The Brother Zhou she mentioned was my boyfriend, or rather, my sugar daddy, a 57-year-old man. Joyce Lee, how dare you say such a thing? Frowning, I slapped her across the face. When our family fell into trouble back then, it was you who tearfully vowed to study hard and make something of yourself, forcing Mom to sacrifice me to pay off the debts. If you failed in life, that's your own lack of ambition. Was it wrong for me to pay your debts and fund your education? With sudden, brute strength, Joyce Lee yanked me onto the road. You bitch, you stole everything from me. Just die. A speeding truck barreled toward us. As I was flung through the air, I closed my eyes, feeling the searing pain. Yet, my heart felt inexplicably light. It was as though all the filth that had weighed on my soul for years dissipated with the fading of this life. Your husband's dead, but the debt's still mine to collect. If you can't pay up, I'll take your daughter instead. Otherwise, I'll end all of you. The door slammed shut, followed instantly by a woman's hysterical wails. Your father took the easy way out by jumping, but how are we? Just a mother and her 2 girls, supposed to pay off this mountain of debt he left behind. I slowly opened my eyes to see Mom, looking much younger than I remembered, and beside me was Joyce Lee, dressed in a school uniform. Had I gone back to being 18? Mom wiped her tears, her gaze shifting painfully between me and Joyce. In my past life, Joyce had clung to Mom in fear, crying uncontrollably. The girl who always ranked at the bottom of her class swore to the heavens she would study hard and make something of herself. Mom had always favored her younger daughter and couldn't bear to see her cry, so she pushed me, the quiet one, forward instead. I still remember her painfully twisted words. Ching Ching, you've always been clever. If you can just appease Ethan Joe, you'll have a lifetime of riches. But your sister, she's too headstrong. She'll suffer if she doesn't change. Snapping back to the present, this time Joyce was eerily calm. Not only did she not cry, she even rushed out the door in urgency. Mom sobbed uncontrollably, waving her hand to signal me to check on Joyce. I pretended not to notice, burying myself in a book amid the chaos and Mom's tearful scolding, because I had a rough idea of what Joyce Lee was up to. The next evening, Joyce Lee returned in Ethan Joe's Benz. Gone was her clean school uniform. Now she wore a figure, hugging black bodycon dress. Pointing at the cluster of hickeys on her neck, she smirked triumphantly at me. Sis, this time I stole your chance. Her brazen grin made her look like a delusional fool to me, but I feigned jealousy anyway. Mom realized what had happened and nearly fainted, her trembling finger pointing at Joyce Lee. Ush, how could you? Joyce Lee shrugged. Doesn't matter if I could or not. It's done. Ethan asked me to move into his luxury home. As for my sister, she turned to me with a malicious grin. Since she loves studying so much, let her take the SAT. I'd like to see how far this bookworm can go. With that, she strutted around the room haughtily before heading to the door. Not like I need to bring much anyway. Ethan Joe will buy me new things, better ones. As for this money, she pulled out a gleaming gold card from her bag, waving it ostentatiously in front of me. My eyes darkened. Ethan Joe had given me this same card in my past life. Back then, I handed it over to Mom without hesitation to keep funding Joyce Lee's education. Every month, I'd transfer money into this card, completely covering our family's debts, until Joyce failed her SATs and came demanding more money to study abroad as a status booster. I refused and cut off the funds, sending Mom only the bare minimum for living expenses. Joyce resented me for it, blaming me for all her hardships. But this time, Joyce twirled the card once before tucking it back into her bag. Ethan gave this to me. I can't really share it, or he'd be upset with me. Mom, sis, I'll visit when I have time. She whistled cheerfully and walked away without a second glance. Mom's eyes rolled back as she fainted on the spot. Seeing she wasn't seriously hurt, I poured her a glass of warm water, set it beside her, and went to study in my room. In my past life, Mom's choices had already severed our mother-daughter bond. I simply couldn't fake concern for her. As for Joyce Lee, she thought becoming Ethan Joe's side chick meant a lifetime of luxury, but she had no idea what she truly lost. That clean, bright, untarnished life. This time, it's my turn to save on exorbitant tuition fees. I decided to transfer from my private international high school to magnet school. With Mom bedridden, I went to see the prep school headmaster myself. The headmaster shook his head repeatedly before I could even finish. Child, it's not that I don't want to accept you, but I must consider the school's SAT performance. At this critical juncture before the SAT, admitting a senior transfer student tuition free is far too risky for prep school. Having stayed by Ethan Joe's side all these years, I've met many people and learned many things. One of them is that win relationships are far more compelling. I looked at the headmaster and said calmly, I can be the valedictorian. The headmaster nearly jumped out of his seat, his glasses almost falling off in shock. His lips trembled slightly, but no words came out. I pulled up a chair and sat across from him to negotiate. You can test me with questions, or have me sign a performance contract. I'm fine with anything. Half a minute later, I heard the headmaster's slightly trembling voice. You wait here. With that, he rushed out urgently. Soon, he returned with a stack of test papers, followed by a line of teachers. Many students also gathered outside the office upon hearing the news, eager to watch the spectacle. These are our prep school's SAT prediction papers this year. Never leaked. Try solving them. I nodded, picked up a pen, and began writing swiftly. The teacher's gazes were glued to my pen tip, occasionally letting out sighs or skeptical interjections, while students whispered by the doorway, "Who does she think she is, putting on such an act, claiming she'll be valedictorian like it's as easy as buying groceries? How isn't she nervous with so many teachers watching? My palms are sweating just looking. Wait, it's only been 20 minutes. How's she already flipping the page? She must have skipped several questions." As time ticked by, I finished the last subject's answers with a final dot of ink. The teachers eagerly began grading. The final tally, 685 points. The headmaster's wavering hopes were finally laid to rest. "Miss Lee, your results are indeed impressive. Perhaps not valedictorian level, but quite commendable. I grant your admission." The teachers murmured in admiration. To complete 6 subjects under such pressure with a score is remarkable. As for being valedictorian, no need to force it. Doing your best suffices. I calmly tapped the exam paper. The teachers graded this final problem incorrectly. The headmaster froze, then immediately picked up the exam paper for a closer look before slamming his hand on the desk. "Lee is absolutely right. How could you all be so careless?" Adding these 25 points, Ching Ching's total score is 710. This result was within my expectations. In my past life, the reason I stood out among Ethan Zhou's many side chicks wasn't just because I was obedient and sweet. It was also because I got his only son, Noah Zhou, into an Ivy League school. Before my family's downfall, I was already Ivy League material. I won competitions effortlessly and consistently ranked first in school. For a time, I was my father's proudest bragging right at drinking parties. But sadly, at that international prep school filled with privileged kids, grades weren't the teacher's top priority. So when my family fell apart, not a single one came to persuade my mother to let me continue my education. Back then, I needed a lot of money, fast, to plug the massive hole in our finances, which meant I had to please Ethan Zhou. I knew exactly how precious his only son, Noah Zhou, was to him, but Noah Zhou had a rebellious streak, becoming the school bully at a young age with his delinquent attitude. Every tutor hired for him ended up being pranked mercilessly. Seeing Noah so stressed his lips were blistering, I begged Ethan to let me try tutoring him. Academic prodigies and top students are fundamentally different creatures. Top students need constant review and accumulation, while prodigies are born to learn. Their very existence is for mastering knowledge. Their brains automatically calculate the most efficient learning methods, converting information at terrifying speeds. If my abilities couldn't be used for the SAT, they'd have to be applied elsewhere. Ethan was initially skeptical, but after just a week of my tutoring, not only did Noah become completely obedient, he scored nearly perfect marks in the middle school entrance exams. Overjoyed, Ethan promoted me from side chick to presentable girlfriend, and I officially moved into the Zhou household. For as long as I stayed with the Zhous, Noah maintained his position as the top student, until finally, he became valedictorian in the SAT, giving media interviews about his success. Ethan Zhou grinned from ear to ear, asking me what reward I wanted. I tentatively asked, "Ethan, can I go to school?" His smile vanished instantly, his expression turning dark. He pinched my cheek meaningfully. "Ching Ching, stay obediently by my side. You'll have all the houses and cars you deserve. But if you get any other ideas, don't blame me for being ruthless." By then, Ethan Zhou was already a renowned entrepreneur on the rich list, a man who could turn clouds with a flip of his hand. Even if I were the Monkey King, I couldn't escape his palm. I could only smile sweetly at him, swallowing the bitterness in my heart. I wasn't worried about my future. Noah Zhou still wanted to pursue further studies at Harvard for his master's and PhD. As long as he needed me, my position in the Zhou household would remain unshakable. Ethan had treated me quite well over the years. I already owned several luxury apartments in Metropolis and held shares in Zhou Corporation. Aside from the Centurion card for unlimited spending, A substantial amount of pocket money was deposited into my account every month. It seems I have everything, yet I always feel like I have nothing. But it's all right. Fate has given me another chance to start over. Let those sinful and filthy pasts remain forever in my previous life. As my thoughts returned to the present, I heard the entire room erupt in uproar. Holy crap, prep school hasn't had a 700 scorer in years. The headmaster must have struck gold. Turns out I'm the clown. Almighty One, please accept my worship. They casually score 700 while I struggle to even hit 500. Maybe I should just quit school. The headmaster, flushed with excitement, swiftly finalized my transfer paperwork. Teachers from both gifted programs argued fiercely over me, faces red with passion. Yet no one expected me to walk straight up to Teacher Lou of Section 10. Hello, teacher. I look forward to your guidance from now on. Everyone was stunned. Section 10 wasn't just a non-gifted program. It was prep school's rotten apple. Not only was it packed with underachievers, but bullying incidents were frequent, and even homeroom teachers had been replaced multiple times. Teacher Lou stammered, "Ush, how about you reconsider? I don't want to hold you back." I shook my head with a smile. I absolutely must go to Section 10. It's one of the main reasons I came to prep school, all for one person. The moment I stepped into Section 10, the noisy classroom fell silent for a second before erupting into heated whispers. Is that the show? Off, who said she topped the province as valedictorian? What's wrong with her? Why ditch the gifted program for our class? Wait, how dare she sit next to Joe? Yeah, she's in for a world of trouble. The entire class turned their eyes on me. Snickers of schadenfreude peppered the air. I took the only empty seat in the room. Sensing an intense gaze from my side, I turned to meet my desk mate's scrutiny. A red-haired girl kicked my chair hard and scowled. Get lost. I won't say it again. From where I sat, a thin sliver of sunlight just grazed her forehead. Her delicate features were obscured beneath heavy makeup. Her school uniform altered beyond recognition. She glared at me with furrowed brows, like a bristling hedgehog. I don't care how high your test scores are. You're not sitting next to. Hey, amidst the gasps of the crowd, I suddenly pulled her into an embrace. Only when I felt the warmth of her body did I finally relax. Sienna, I called her name, my eyes reddening. You're alive. None of those things have happened yet. Thank goodness. Ethan Zhou's first wife had left him with a son and a daughter. Compared to Noah Zhou, his only son, Sienna Zhou, the eldest daughter, was utterly neglected. During my stay at the Zhou residence, I often saw this tough-looking girl hiding in the dark, hugging her shoulders as she cried. Given our different statuses, we had barely exchanged more than a few words. Until that day, when Ethan found an anonymous love confession in my phone and beat me with his belt. The enraged man was as terrifying as a demon. Screams, cries, pleas for mercy. I barely survived the nightmare of that night. I lay naked on the bed, too weak to even put on clothes, my entire body burning with pain, wishing I could just die. A cool sensation touched my wounds. I tilted my head slightly and saw the girl who always hurled insults at me, carefully applying medicine to my injuries. Her movements were gentle and slow, occasionally asking if it hurt. Back when my mother was still around, Ethan Zhou used to beat her too. So I always kept this kind of medicine in my room. You're about my age. Why would you throw yourself away on an old man like Ethan Zhou? For money? I answered hoarsely. For family. Sienna Zhou fell silent for a moment, then said, as if to comfort me, no matter what, you still have to live. Even if you hate him, you need a strong body to get your revenge. By the way, when I came back from night class, it was you who reheated the food on the table, right? The Zhou family's nanny wouldn't care about me. Thanks. That night, we grew much closer. Sienna Zhou and I shared more and more secrets between us. I would sneak out from Noah's birthday banquet to accompany her, scour every cybercafe and KTV in town to drag her home by the ear, and occasionally hide under the covers with her, listening to her teenage confessions, until the day Noah ranked first in his high school entrance exams, and Ethan Zhou hosted a grand celebration banquet inviting elites from all walks of life. That day also marked Sienna's 20th birthday. I wanted to slip out early to find her, but Ethan held on to me tightly like a decorative accessory. When I finally managed to get away, I saw 20 missed calls from Sienna on my phone. When I called back, no one answered. My panic grew with each passing moment, and I frantically called every one of her classmates and friends, until finally, I received a call from the police. They said they had found a disfigured female body. With trembling hands, I lifted the white cloth. Just one glimpse of a finger confirmed it was her. I collapsed to the ground, my entire body plunged into an icy abyss, desperately covering my mouth to stifle the scream tearing through me. It was Ethan Zhou's business rivals who did it. They hired someone to kidnap Sienna Zhou, demanding Ethan abandon the upcoming bid. Ethan refused, then pretended nothing had happened, continuing to cheerfully celebrate his son's achievements. I don't know what inhuman torment this fragile girl endured before her death. I only know her leg bones were shattered, and several steel nails were driven into her skull. That youthful, radiant body was left broken like a shredded doll. Sienna Zhou died at 20. I think I died that day too. For 10 years after, I never cried again, only smiled for various calculated reasons. Fortunately, there's still time. This time, I'll protect her. Sienna hadn't been hugged in a long time. She stood frozen in place, arms hovering midair, utterly at a loss for words. She felt an inexplicable familiarity, as if this person before her had been known for ages, radiating a natural sense of trust. A voice inside told her she could share anything with this person, confide in her without reservation. When the other girl released her, she was left with a fleeting, disorienting sense of loss. After a long pause, she snapped back to reality, realizing she'd just been overshadowed by this newcomer. Instantly, she put on a fierce facade. What's your name? Chloe Lee, right? From now on, you'll sit right under my nose. Don't even think about pulling any tricks. A soft, affectionate chuckle brushed her ear, and the faintest touch, like a feather, grazed her nose. Then, in the girl's dark pupils, she caught a glimpse of her own blustering reflection, followed by a clear, bright, silly girl. Game over. Her bristling defenses deflated like a punctured balloon. All she could do was turn away, her ears burning red. On the way home from school, a shadow trailed furtively behind me. I turned around just in time to see the girl's sleeve that she hadn't managed to hide in time. Sienna. I helplessly pulled the little quail out from behind the wall. Sienna Zhou deliberately straightened her posture, raising her voice a notch. Don't get the wrong idea. I wouldn't stoop to following you on purpose. It's just that you're sort of under my protection now, and this road isn't safe. So her voice trailed off as her eyes widened when I ruffled her hair. Sienna, if you don't want to go back, come to my place tonight. The corners of Sienna Zhou's lips curled slightly before she bounced ahead of me, her red ponytail swinging. Since you've so sincerely invited me, I'll reluctantly agree. Come on, lead the way. When we reached my building and saw that familiar Benz, we both froze in our tracks. Joyce Lee was dressed far beyond her years, swaying her hips provocatively as she stepped out of the car. Facing me, she curled her lips into a smug smile. Chloe Lee, this Benz was a gift from Brother Zhou. He even assigned me a personal chauffeur. See how much he dotes on me? She looked me up and down, then exclaimed loudly with exaggeration, "Oh my, can't even afford international prep now. Where'd you dig up this dowdy school uniform? I was worried you'd try to steal Ethan Zhou from me, but seeing how frumpy you look, I'm totally relieved." She maliciously scattered a pile of cash in front of me. Chloe Lee, your family's desperate for money, right? For old time's sake, kneel and kowtow to me. This money's all yours. I had no intention of humoring this ingrate and coolly turned away to head upstairs. But I didn't notice a fiery figure charging straight at Joyce Lee from the side. Your mom gave you a mouth, not a sewer. Sienna Zhou, like an enraged lioness, pinned Joyce down and rained blows on her. In no time, Joyce's meticulously done makeup was a smeared mess. Even her carefully styled hair was torn out in clumps. Joyce Lee roared furiously. Do you know who my boyfriend is? He's the famous Ethan Zhou. If he finds out you dared to hit me, he'll kill you. Sienna Zhou's eyes turned red as she struck even harder. Ethan Zhou has played with plenty of women. What kind of girlfriend are you? Some nobody who can't even show her face? Go ahead. If you've got the guts, have him come settle the score with me. Let's see if he'd actually kill me for you. Joyce Lee gnashed her teeth and snarled. Don't get cocky, no matter how many women he's been with. He'd never like a little punk like you. Who had been trying to break up the fight, froze for a moment before kicking Joyce Lee several times and joining the brawl. Finally, the chauffeur cried out in panic. Young Mistress, what are you doing here? And why are you fighting with Miss Lee? Everyone stopped moving. The chauffeur pulled Joyce Lee aside and quietly explained Sienna Zhou's identity. Joyce Lee glanced at Sienna Zhou, then turned to call Ethan Zhou, but couldn't get through. Seems like you don't mean much to Ethan Zhou after all. Sienna Zhou sneered. Joyce Lee gritted her teeth and spat venomously. What gives you a worthless burden, Zhou doesn't even care about. The right to say that? A delinquent girl and a bookworm. No wonder you two get along so well. As she spoke, she shot me a triumphant look. Chloe Lee, I've already chosen my shortcut to wealth and status. When you fail your SATs and beg for jobs and disgrace, let's see if you can still smile then. And you, she glared viciously at Sienna Zhou, a good, for nothing delinquent who only annoys Zhou. After I bear his son, I'll have him kick you out of the family. Fearing another beating from Sienna, she fled to her car and sped away. Sienna trembled with rage on the spot, her stubborn pride refusing to let the hurtful words bring tears to her eyes. I wrapped an arm around Sienna's shoulders and whispered softly, Sienna, our lives won't turn out like she said. Our future holds not just each other, but bright prospects too. The next day, when Sienna Zhou came to school, the whole class gasped in astonishment. What kind of magic potion did Chloe Lee feed Sienna? In just one day, Sienna had dyed her hair back to black, put on the proper school uniform neatly, and organized her messy desk, arranging textbooks in perfect order. Soon, under the influence of their leader, her followers, and even their followers, began studying earnestly in a disciplined manner. I leaned in closer and saw Sienna seriously working on the first multiple choice question of her math test for half an hour, then drawing a question mark in the blank before moving on to the second question. Me, well, it's still progress. Never mind how effective the studying is. At least the effort is there. With 300 days left until the SAT, the remaining curriculum was just a cycle of practice problems, review, and exams. I asked teacher Lou for permission, as class representative, to tutor everyone during self-study sessions. Teacher Lou sighed. Chloe, your heart is in the right place, but you know how things are here. Those kids just aren't cut out for studying. How do you know if you don't try? I walked into the classroom carrying a stack of materials and handed them out to everyone. Stop working on problems for now. Focus on mastering the key concepts first. These are the 6 subject exam highlights I compiled myself, breaking down the knowledge points into SAT foundational question types and their variations. Today, everyone starts with the first semester of high school material. Aim to master all these concepts before the next monthly exam. By the end of the first week, some exclaimed they could finally understand the questions. Others marveled that their brains were starting to work. And someone even hung a Section 10 must-win the SAT banner across the classroom, plastering the walls with the study notes I'd prepared. Delighted, Mr. Lou outright handed his class periods over to me for self-study sessions. The other 5 subject teachers, unaware we'd been secretly cramming, pinched their own arms in disbelief when these students started answering questions correctly, wondering if they were still dreaming. On the eve of the monthly exam, I handed out a mock test I designed myself, tailored to assess everyone's review progress. Sienna Zhou scored first place, surpassing 500 points in total. The rest of the students also performed well, nearly all clearing 400 points. Amid the celebration, some began voicing doubts. Qing Shen, you're not just messing with us by making the questions this easy, are you? Sienna Zhou threw a chalk piece at him. Shut your trap and just listen to Qing quietly. When the monthly exam results came out, Teacher Lu held the score sheet with a beaming smile on her face. She began calling out the scores one by one. The moment they heard their own grades, everyone was both shocked and delighted. Without exception, all scores were slightly higher than my mock exam results. From now on, Qing Shun is my one and only queen. The second round of review began. The other 5 subject teachers, upon learning I was tutoring the class, voluntarily gave up their lecture time and enjoyed the break. I refused to believe it. She might be good at studying herself, but can she really elevate that trash class? Yet, by midterms, nearly everyone had made significant progress. Even Sienna Zhou scored over 550. A few skeptical teachers watched me tutor the class during breaks. At first, their gazes were full of doubt and scrutiny. Later, he nodded repeatedly while jotting down notes in his notebook. A few others cautiously asked if I could share the materials with them as well. I smiled and agreed with a nod. Then came the end of term exams in the first semester of senior year. Sienna Zhou's total score surpassed 600, and Section 10's average score exceeded 520. The entire grade was in an uproar. What an astonishing rate of improvement. It could only be described as terrifying. Teacher Lu cautiously poured me a cup of tea and asked, Sienna Zhou, hitting 600 is already her peak, right? Given her foundation, pushing her score higher won't be easy. Watching the tea leaves swirl in the cup, I dropped a bombshell. Teacher Lu, how would you react if your class produced 2 Ivy League candidates? Teacher Lu shuddered violently, pressing his philtrum as his lips trembled speechlessly. After a long pause, he hopped in place on his short legs, spinning in a circle. His gaze at me was filled with reverence. Classmate Lee, Goddess Chloe, I'll go tell the headmaster right away. Next semester's schedule is entirely up to you. The final semester of senior year. Everyone watched in stunned silence as Section 10, the dark horse, grew at an astonishing pace. These kids, once dismissed as troublemakers and written off, suddenly erupted with determination, absorbing every bit of knowledge they could like sponges. When everyone around you is charging forward at full speed, going against the current is no longer an easy feat. So the entire Section 10 gritted their teeth, taut as bowstrings, sprinting toward that final life-defining hurdle. The SAT ended. Prep school produced 2 Ivy League admits. One was from Section 10. The other was also from Section 10. One of them was Chloe Lee, once mockingly called Miss Show, off, and later Crown Goddess Chloe. The other was Sienna Zhou, the former delinquent queen with her flamboyant red hair, who once made teachers tremble. This year's Section 10 was nothing short of legendary. Apart from these 2 top scorers, there were 15 others who scored above 600. The rest all scored above 550. Without exception, they all struggled free from the destined mire and ran toward the unexpected light. Ethan Zhou personally came to the school gate to pick up Sienna Zhou. He grandly donated a library to prep school, tearfully shaking the headmaster's hand in gratitude, playing the role of a benevolent and doting father. Sienna curled her lips. Noah Zhou is in youth prison now, and since Ethan sees I've made something of myself, he's rushing to make me inherit the company. Once we get our hands on the Zhou family fortune, the first thing I'll do is pull the plug on him. By the way, wait for me to have dinner together tonight. I don't want to eat at the Zhou family's place. With that, she pouted and got into Ethan's car. Not wanting to run into Ethan, I went straight home. The neighborhood downstairs was already packed with people. The lead reporter struggled through the crowd to reach me, shoving a microphone in my face. Congratulations, Lee, on becoming this year's valedictorian. I heard the headmasters of both Ivy League schools have offered generous conditions. Could you share which one you've chosen? Miss Lee, wherever Sienna Zhou goes, I go. The reporter paused, then laughed. You two really are inseparable best friends. Will you choose the same major too? Naturally, I answered the reporter's questions with a smile, faintly sensing a gaze glued to my face, brimming with resentment, hatred, confusion, and bewilderment. I met it head on. For a moment, I almost thought the past was repeating itself. Joyce Lee hid behind the crowd, her heavy eye makeup smeared by tears. Wearing cheap clothes, she covered her face in shame, seemingly breaking down in sobs. I walked through the interviewing crowd and headed straight upstairs. Joyce Lee followed me. Why didn't you tell me Ethan Joe was such a monster? After he got tired of me, he made me accompany him to drinking parties, letting others take advantage of me. When others asked about my status, Ethan Joe said I was just a plaything. Anyone who fancied me could take me away. But you weren't like this in your past life. Ethan took you into the Joe residence, acknowledged you as his girlfriend in front of the media, and doted on you endlessly. Why did it change when it came to me? That's because I had other value. I looked at Joyce Lee indifferently. He wasn't wrong, wasn't a side chick. At the end of the day, just a plaything, wanting to be a kept woman while demanding dignity. Since when was life that generous? Joyce Lee, you ended up here because you overestimated yourself and underestimated Ethan Joe. Surely you can't blame me for stealing your chance at an Ivy League education now, can you? Joyce was left speechless. She lowered her head in silence for a long moment before suddenly glaring at me, as if she'd finally found my flaw. Chloe Lee, you're so academically gifted. You even got Joyce into the Ivy League. Why didn't you ever tutor me? In my past life, if you just helped me get into the Ivy League too, I wouldn't have suffered so much. Her voice grew more hysterical as she pointed at me accusingly. I'm your blood sister, so why won't you help me? Instead, you'd rather help an outsider in this lifetime. I slapped her across the face, catching her completely off guard. Don't you dare compare yourself to Sienna. You're not worthy. Since childhood, Mom and Dad spoiled you, handed you everything good on a silver platter. So you think all the good things should be yours by default. Is that it? But why should they? Joyce Lee, I owe you nothing. If you had any shame left, you wouldn't even show your face before me. Stop prancing around in front of me, or when I get unhappy, Sienna gets unhappy. And when she's unhappy enough to do something to you, I won't lift a finger to stop her. I emphasized, my tone hardening. The Sienna now isn't some delinquent girl you look down on. She's Ethan Joe's most treasured person, someone you can't afford to provoke. Joyce Lee's face instantly drained of color. No, this wasn't how it was supposed to be. I need to restart my life again. Shaking her head, she stumbled out the door in disgrace. Within minutes, a heavy thud echoed from outside the window. Screams erupted from the crowd outside, and Mom's heart, wrenching screams when she just returned from grocery shopping. I had no interest in watching Joyce Lee's miserable state. I went straight back to my room and closed the door. Then I logged onto the forum using a virtual IP. Seeing my anonymous post trending at #1, I smiled in satisfaction. Alpha Tech's shady syndicate was fully exposed online, with pictures and undeniable proof. All of this was dug up by me from the dark web. In my past life, during the 10 years after Sienna Joe's tragic death, they all forgot about her. But I remembered. I desperately studied IT, hoping to quietly avenge her with my meager strength. But before I could, Joyce Lee got me killed. This time, in the year since my return, I've been frantically gathering Alpha Tech scandals and exposing them all just as they plan to go public. At this stage, Alpha Tech hasn't fully grown yet. They're not as formidable as they were in my past life. It's just a sapling that hasn't fully grown. A single fire could reduce it to ashes. Counting on my fingers, I said, my boyfriend gives me a fixed monthly allowance of $100,000 in pocket money. For travel and shopping, I just swipe his Centurion card. Places like beauty salons have lifetime VIP memberships for me, so I really can't keep track of it all. I watched as the person in power turned themselves in out of guilt and was sentenced to capital punishment. The light in my eyes flickered uncertainly. This vengeance spanning lifetimes. I've finally exacted it. My phone suddenly rang, and a girl's cheerful voice came through. Ching ching. I've made up my mind. I'm applying for Tsinghua's business admin program. Will you come with me? Whatever you say. I exhaled a heavy breath. But before that, I enrolled you in a kickboxing class. What? I can't be by her side every minute to protect her, but I also can't eliminate all the potential dangers around her. So, the only option is to teach her to grow stronger, step by step, to let my girl live forever in the light, to become an indomitable warrior.